Welcome to Kids Care Vids, your channel for discovering your part in God's mission. Hi, I'm Louise. Have you ever had to make a choice between two things? Sometimes it can be really hard to make an important choice, like choosing a dessert. I love sweet things, and there's so many to choose from. There's ice cream, there's chocolate, there's candy, cakes, cookies, donuts, brownies. There's just so many. And it's so hard to decide which is my favorite. Well, I know that choosing a dessert isn't the most important choice for me to make, but sometimes it does feel that way. Now, what if I didn't choose? I could just eat all the desserts? Well, I know that's actually a bad idea. If I chose to eat too many desserts, that could make me feel really sick. Have you ever gotten sick from eating too much? It's not fun, is it? And somebody has to clean up the mess. And that's really gross. And that's a really big idea, isn't it? That our choices can have a really big impact on not just us, but on other people as well. Did you know that the choices that you make often affect others? Well, it's important that we try to make choices that are good for us and that are good for others. God cares a lot about how we treat one another. He wants us to treat others in ways that are kind and fair and just. And you're going to learn in today's lesson about how God wants us to make the best choices, because God is just. Today, we're going to take a look at what God is doing in Rwanda. Rwanda is known as the land of 1,000 hills. That's because it's full of rolling green foothills that sit 950 meters or more above the sea level. Rwanda is also home to 1/3 of the world's gorillas, as well as elephants, giraffes, and 670 different species of birds. Doesn't that sound like a wild place to live? Let me introduce you to Argentine. Argentine lives with her two younger brothers in the rural area of Rwanda called the Karambo village. In Rwanda, it can be difficult for families to send their children to school. Often people are forced between choosing to have enough money to eat or to pay fees for their children to go to school. But the good news is that through the Orphans and Vulnerable Children program supported by CBM in her community, Argentine is now able to go to school. She now has a mentor and the help that she needs, not only for school fees, but for school supplies too. You're going to hear more about Argentine from your teacher in today's lesson. This amazing change in Argentine's life was made possible because of generous people who chose to help by giving money and supporting the Orphans and Vulnerable Children program. They could have kept that money for themselves, but instead, when they heard that some kids don't have the opportunity to go to school, they knew that that wasn't okay. It was unjust. So they decided to try and make things right by giving money to help. Did you know that the Lord is a mighty Ra, and he never does wrong? God can always be trusted to bring justice. That's from Deuteronomy 32, verse 4. It's amazing to think that together with God, you and I can help kids like Argentine go to school. Well, I'm going to hand it back to your teacher, who's going to tell you a little bit more about Argentine's story. But before I do, I want you to remember that God wants to help us make the best choices because God is just. Do you want to say it with me? God wants to help us make the best choices because God is just. That's great. I'll see you next time.